Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Certain e-cigarettes and vapes will soon be available in Taiwan. While some are celebrating the news, others are worried that it could cause bigger health problems. Tiffany Wong has more.
2 years after amendments to tobacco laws in Taiwan all but banned heated tobacco products in the country, e-cigarettes and vapes will be available for legal sale. 14 products have received conditional approval for retail starting in October. But some are concerned about the potential health impacts, especially as some of the products are flavored, which anti-smoking activists fear could lead to addiction.
先开放，等到慢慢的加味烟的公告禁止之后，再叫他们下架。你想想看，所有的伤害造成，拜托赶快公告禁止加味烟品，因为现在吸烟的年轻人90%， WHO 报告90%都是从加味烟品入门。第二个，赶快收回成命。
Taiwan moved to ban flavored tobacco products, but has only restricted specific additives. Some groups have called for a complete ban of flavored products to control tobacco use, and are calling on the government watchdog to investigate. The agency overseeing tobacco use said they will make sure all products comply with any updated rules.
禁止烟品添加物的草案，我们现在仍在研议中。那未来我们如果公告了，就是所有的烟品就都应该要一体适用这个禁止烟品添加物的部分。
Despite the de facto ban over the past few years, e-cigarettes and vapes are still widely sold and used illegally in the country. In August, the Health Promotion Administration said it had issued over 7,000 violation notices in the 2 years since the new amendments came into effect, totaling nearly $20 million in fines. Cancer is the top cause of death in Taiwan, with lung cancer being the most fatal. And with these new products hitting the market, health officials will have their work cut out for them as they try to keep their citizens' well-being in mind. Fu Hua Hong and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Coast Guard said it dispatched a ship to expel a Chinese Coast Guard ship that appeared to be headed toward Pratas Island in the South China Sea. The island is governed by Taiwan but claimed by both Taiwan and China. Taiwan's Coast Guard says it has repeatedly driven away Chinese vessels that approached the island, calling the intrusions part of China's gray zone tactics against Taiwan. China's military has condemned the recent transits of American and British naval ships through the Taiwan Strait. China says it sent naval and air forces to monitor the ships for troublemaking and provocation. The US and UK called the transits by a US destroyer and a British frigate routine, saying they were exercising freedom of navigation. Transits through the Taiwan Strait have been frequent in recent months. The US, UK, and Taiwan consider the strait to be international waters. As China continues to threaten to use force to take over Taiwan with the People's Liberation Army, or PLA, understanding military movements in China is more important than ever. Now, a new book, OSINT, on the PLA from Taiwanese open source intelligence, or OSINT analyst Joseph Wen, details how even civilians can study the PLA's activities. A self-trained OSINT analyst, Joseph has mapped over 7,000 PLA points of interest and helps train people on how to practice OSINT. In this episode of Zoom In, Zoom Out, Joseph discusses how he got started, how he changed his life, and how he tracks the PLA on a daily basis.
How did this idea or this concept come from? How did it all started?
这一切的这个起点呢，就是从2021年，开始呢，就是我们知道解放军军机就很频繁的在扰台。其实从2019年就已经开始，只是2019年是西南空域。那我是在2022年的时候，那2022年呢，因为一场疫情，所以呢，我的毕业音乐会就是没办法举办这样子。那我就是东吴大学音乐系呢，极少数呢不用办毕业音乐会，这个就可以毕业的这样子。那突然时间就变得非常非常多。那其实这个也是原本的这个动机是为了我们军迷自己方便，就是我想要把这个解放军军机，因为国防部那个时候有公布它的轨迹图，那我就想要把它对照一下。那我想要把它的机场全部都先标出来，因为 其实解放军的机场已经有人整理好了，但是我们还需要去查找那个表，然后从地图上面一个个对这样子。那这个太麻烦了，我想要把它全部都先标起来。那这个在我们军迷自己比对的时候，他从哪边来的时候比较方便这样子。
It sounds very interesting because you major in music and then you make a big switch becoming an imagery intelligence analyst. So do you think that your training in music actually help you develop this kind of interests?
我在书里面有写到，就是说，在我高中的时候碰到了一位就是对我影响很大的钢琴老师，那他就是跟我讲一句话，就是说，你能弹多慢，弹琴能弹多慢，就能弹多快，这样子。那这个也说出，就是其实音乐它需要一种训练，就是说耐心上面的训练。那其实公开影像的比对，它也是需要花大量的时间，而且也不能说没办法协作啦，但是大部分至少我在网络上看到，就是我还有其他大部分的国外的影像工作者，大部分都是一个人完成这样子，那所以耐心也是非常重要。
In the first year that you started, you already found like 800 PLA sites, and then now you have like over 7,000 already. So do you face any challenges, or what is like the most exciting parts that you can share with us?
我觉得最困难的就是解放军每个单位都有番号和代号，这是什么意思呢？比如说一个人他有真名和化名，那番号就是它的单位的正式名称，那代号就是5个数字所组成。那代号存在的用意呢？这个全世界只有解放军有啦。那代号存在的用意就是掩盖真实的部队番号，所以呢，他在招标文件啊、新闻报啊，他都会用5个数字的代号来称呼。那这2个不会同时出现，那要把这2个连接起来是最困难的，就是我们真的要透过很多地方去比对，比如说招标文件显示啊，这个数字代号的这个单位呢，在它的地址在什么地方，然后我们还要影像去对一下，就是它在哪里这样子，然后呢，它的正式番号可能国外的报道有出现过，那我们再对一下这两个地方是不是一样？如果是一样的话，那我们就可以把这2个合在一起，说原来这个代号就是称呼这个单位这样子，那是。大部分的时候都很难，因为呢，解放军他们对保密的这个门槛其实比我们低很多，就是很多在台湾看起来很平常的，比如说这个台湾军队啊，我们都是直接把部队番号写在新闻报道里面，但是解放军就不是，那这个其实造成了蛮大的麻烦啊，就研究上蛮大的麻烦。
That was Joseph Wen, a self-trained OSINT analyst. You can watch the full interview on Zoom In, Zoom Out on YouTube or TaiwanPlus.com. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council Minister says Taiwan is the first line between democracy and authoritarianism as China seeks to expand its global influence.
If Taiwan were to be taken over by China by force, it will trigger a domino effect, undermine the regional balance of power, and direct threat the security and the prosperity of the United States.
Qiu Chuizheng was speaking at the Heritage Foundation think tank in the U.S. Qiu said Beijing's goal in taking Taiwan is to eliminate U.S. influence in the Asia-Pacific and ultimately replace the United States as the global leader. He also said China is actively preparing for war. Qiu called on China to stop its military intimidation of Taiwan and instead engage in dialogue with the Taiwanese government. He said Taipei is committed to maintaining the cross-strait status quo. Taiwan and China are battling out verbally over Taiwanese Foreign Minister Lin Jialong's trip to Europe. China's foreign ministry condemned the trip, urging European countries to abide by Beijing's One China principle and to stop visits by, quote, Taiwan independent separatists. It called Taiwanese Foreign Minister Lin Jialong a, quote, local official of the Taiwan province of China. But Taiwan's foreign ministry hit back, saying that Taiwan is not subordinate to China and that as a member of the international community, Taiwan has a right to interact with other countries. It said Beijing had, quote, no right to make comments or interfere with the actions of sovereign nations. Lin's trip, which included a stop in the Czech Republic, is intended to promote Taiwan's culture in Europe. Poland says Russia's drone incursions into its airspace were not accidental after comments by US President Donald Trump suggesting they could have been a mistake.
Such incidents happened before, but this time we know that that was the first time since the beginning of Russian full-scale invasion on Ukraine in 2022 that Polish territorial integrity has been purposely violated on such an unprecedented scale. We know, and I repeat, we know that it was not a mistake.
Polish Secretary of State Marcin Bezowski made the remarks to the UN Security Council after his country shot down Russian drones in Polish airspace. During the meeting, U.S. Acting Ambassador to the UN, Dorothy Shea, also condemned incursions. She said they disrespected good faith U.S. efforts to bring an end to the war in Ukraine and pledged to defend, quote, every inch of NATO territory. A delegation from the French Africa Foundation is visiting Taiwan's biggest chip industry event, Semicon, to see how they can turn around perceptions about Africa's role in the chip industry. Leslie Liao spoke with one of the delegation members, Tolu Ogunlensi, to find out more about their goals.
When they first presented you this opportunity to come to Taiwan, what was the mission? What was the reason that you decided to come to Taiwan? What drew you to this place?
You know, look at the name, France, Africa. So it's been about connections. And so this was just another opportunity to connect. This time to take France and Africa and connect to Taiwan. And what better point of connection than Semicon? Taiwan is a global superpower in hardware, in semiconductors, and it's just the most obvious, the most natural thing to take Semicon as the point of the connection. Apart from attending Semicon, we've also had visits to Foxconn, Quanta, Yageo, and then of course the arts, the culture side. We've seen a bit of town, visited one or two temples. Like it's been a whole immersion in Taiwan, and it's been immensely insightful and fascinating.
What are some of the things that, after being in Taiwan, you've learned or you've taken away from this trip?
One of the things I think that stood out to me is how Taiwan manages to blend the old and the new. So on one side you have, there's nothing more cutting edge than semiconductors. And but on the other side, there's nothing more sort of like historic than some of the temples, and some of the older parts of the city that have been maintained and preserved. And I think there's a big lesson especially for us from Africa. There's a lot of inspiration, a lot of hope, a lot of lessons to just that, and we feel like if Taiwan can do it, then it should be possible in our countries as well.
How would you go about taking what you've learned from this trip in Taiwan here, going back to your home of Nigeria and then spreading the message there?
I think one of the things that has stood out for me this week, or one of the big lessons, is just how much of Taiwan is in our daily lives, in our mobile phones. I didn't think of that before coming here. That every time I put my computer on, or use my mobile phone, or use any electronic device, there's a lot of Taiwan in those things. And so I think I feel a more visceral connection, and definitely that's one of the messages I'm going to be taking back.
That was Tolu Ogunlensi from the French Africa Foundation. Also, I want to thank you for watching today's What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website and follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take a look at these young Palestinians playing musical instruments in Gaza. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.